Here's my wrap up for round 3, the 5 things I learnt from footy, along with my tipping results, my fantasy tip of the week, and just a quick couple word answer on a few of the players. If you haven't managed to check out last night's live stream, go for it. It was a little bit patchy at times too, so if you aren't interested in that, we're still learning how to do the live streams properly without paying $1 billion. We'll get in there and just a couple of words on each of those players. So footy changes so quickly as we continue to see. There was upsets last week, less so this week, but it was all shown in that final game with the Raiders just being incredibly off and just compounding their issues. Kick the ball out in the full after a couple of tries in a row, just gift them another try. And some of the defensive lapses as well was really poor from a team that has built themselves off defense, and Sticky will not be happy with that at all. He won't be happy with the Big Red for his antics in that first half, which is something he's had to try and rein in just a little bit, because it usually is detrimental to him and to the side. So a few things like that, just that that try from Garrick, his fourth one, thank goodness I have him Supercoach. He basically went on almost untouched, just like had the palm out and that was it. So things can change very, very quickly. Raiders were a top 5 type of team, the way they were playing, probably playing one of the best in the comp across the first 2 weeks, and then they come out in this one and were absolutely terrible. And Manly were back to what they looked like almost in round 1 against the Cows. So that's where my frustrations came last week, was seeing how this Manly side played, for them to then go to Warrior Land. And that's probably something to have a look at as well, is when they're playing away from home, especially overseas. They were just so off, and they've been back at home for 2 games and they've played awesome across those 2. So that's something definitely to note there in Manly's side. Be a Raiders to be so good and then come out here and play terribly. It's hard to just straight off the bat just judge teams on who they are playing, because in this one I thought it'd be fairly close, but in that case, fairly close, not 40-0, and that can skew fantasy and Supercoach scoring as well, without you knowing it. And you might not play certain guys because of a pretty bad matchup, you'd say, and then they come out and do well anyway, or the other team wins. The team that's the big upsets wins, and that is footy. Number 2, the Sharks look like they're going to be a consistent team this year. I think you can trust them for once, because in recent years they've been a little bit hot and cold. They'd come up against a decent side, or a team that's like somewhere in that middle rung of the ladder, and they could have a shocker. They could be down 30-0 early, like you've seen against the Dolphins in previous years there, and that could be very hurtful if you're looking at any of their options. But in my opinion, I think they just have too many weapons across the board that can be on the day. You saw Trindle had his spectacular week in this one. Hines was pretty good as well. Next week, Trindle might be a bit off, and Hines can step up, or the outside backs can, or guys like Nickera have an incredible one. Adam Fanua-Blake really steps up and scores a try through the middle, or McInnes does his thing through the middle and plays massive minutes and scores a try or something like that. I think they have too many weapons to be off on a regular basis. You see, they probably have a few more weapons now than what Panthers do. If Cleary's not there, it's a little bit bare, and guys like Isaiah Yeo have to really step up. Dylan Edwards is out at the moment as well, but those types of players can step up. But across the board, I think there's too many guys to have an off one, and they'll be in majority of the games and can win some of those tougher ones as well. So trust players in fantasy and Supercoach in that Sharks side, and expect Sharks to be a top 4 team pretty comfortably this year. Number 3, the Knights attack. It still isn't smooth. Definitely still isn't pretty. Last year was one of the worst in the comp, I think bottom 2. And they come up against a slightly tougher outfit, a team that's played better than the other 2 that they've played in the first couple of games, and away from home, without Dylan Lucas, without Kaipis Paul, and they looked a bit off. Ponga wasn't getting ball that he would have liked. He had some errors as well, which we know that he can have in his game. But I did want to shout out Fletcher Sharp. Absolute standout weapon running the footy. Defensively, he's been pretty solid as well, but every time he has his hands on the ball and runs, it's a scary prospect for the opposition team. And I think squads are cottoning onto that a little bit now, how good he is running the footy. And they're going to start to pay a little bit more attention now that they've got a little bit of time over the next few weeks to look at them and sort that out defensively come round 5-6, those teams that are playing them there. But that might, give some opportunities to different players in those outside backs. Best still played well on the weekend. Greg Marzou, not his best game either. So at the moment, they need all of those guys to be clicking for the attack to look solid. And if they're a bit off, the attack looks pretty woeful right now. So still plenty to work on for the Knights. And I think they'll come back from it. They've still got some decent matchups in the next 2 to 3 weeks that they play after their bye. And I think they've got time during this bye, instead of going on holidays, they'll work on that attack. Because defensively it hasn't been terrible at all. The weekend wasn't great, but before that it was pretty good and was good last year. The Doggies, without Burton and Kickout, they're going to need an adjustment period. Thankfully for them, it's pretty short-term injuries with that sort of months to 4, 5, 6 weeks there with a bye in the middle, which is great for them. You expect Burton to be back following their bye in round 7 and maybe Kickout a similar time or like round 8 or 9, which isn't so bad. I think, Hayward and Sexton did a solid job, and that's all they needed in this clash to get the win. But there will be other games that become a little bit more difficult for them where they need to play a little bit better, and I think they're going to have to change their style a little bit. In what world are you not going to Jacob Preston on the right? 65 run meters. I think he had about 30 minutes in between runs for a guy that, especially without Kickout, is now their most damaging edge runner. They still use Bronson Sherry a fair bit on that left-hand side, and he looked good for lots of runs. But how you don't feed him ball, and guys like Salmon and the like get more attacking ball is wild, because Preston is absolute jet. So they got to work that one out, the Doggies, and they've got a few weeks to sort that out, especially on that right-hand side when you've got guys like Crichton and all that. But Preston's running decoys. It's pretty gross. Titans were well improved, even with Campbell sort of kicking errors around that 20 to 30 mark. He kicked 2 just way too long, and I think he had one at the end there was basically sideways and wasn't in any type of attacking position for the winger. He had to kind of catch it over his head and try and throw it back. So that's good signs for them to put on 26 points and actually defend for only 1 try. That was impressive for them, and I feel like that's fairly easy for Campbell to fix up. Just, he kicked a few off the side of the boot or just a bit too hard. And that's something he can easily work on during the week. His running game was good. His long kicking was sweet. And I think a lot of that part of his game was awesome. Defensively, he's been good. So something there that he can work on. His goal kicking's been great. So he's got the time this week to sort out those type of level kicks, which I think will take the Titans to the next level a little bit. And you've got guys like Brimson who have been pretty poor so far and in limited opportunities, but just he's not really a part of that attack right now. And I think they'll eventually work him into this as well. But this is very clearly Jaden Campbell's team. And just a shout out to the Tigers as well. A terrific comeback, down a couple of tries, scored 4 in a row. And Adam Dewey's goal kicking has been awesome. I think I spelled terrific wrong. Yeah, beautiful. Just a terrific comeback. I think we're waiting with the Tigers for a harder clash now. It's definitely going to come in the next bunch of weeks, and I'm excited to see how it goes. They are a team that has shown a little bit of grit over the first few weeks, especially in round 1, and they had a close loss, and the last 2 they've done a really, really good job. So shout out to Benji and the Tigers for doing some great work on the park and just banking some early wins, because there's going to be some tough times for him as a new growing club. And similar to that with the Bunnies, they had their couple of wins early, and that's exactly what they needed for when this season gets a little bit tougher. They've got a few wins banked, and they can afford the loss or 2 until players get back and players mesh in the Tigers. Tigers from a Tigers standpoint, and when players get back from a South standpoint, i.e. Latrell Mitchell. And my round 3 tipping, I picked up 7 of 8, which was great. I think I'm ranked really well. I'm like 500th on the tipping up with Cowboys fans, so maybe there's just not many Cowboys fans, but that's fine. The Knights, that was my upsetting one there. I did hedge. I had a 50-50, and then I was like, I've got both Titans halves in fantasy. I'll I'll hedge to the Knight side, and they've been playing decent. Unfortunately, they did not play good in this game, so that's fine. 7 of 8 would have liked the extra point, but sitting pretty in tied second in my family comp, which is all that matters, and yeah, happy with that. And just a fantasy tip of the week before we get in and have a couple of words on certain players, but with 24 rounds left, it is a long time. We're 3 rounds in, teams are separating a little bit now with, house captain and these types of things there. If you didn't have Cleary, there's a few teams up top without guys like Cleary. If you are a little bit behind, I feel like this is not the time to take big risks. Yes, you still want to go for points. You don't want to go, I'm just going to get the cash cow and just wait, because you will fall 3, 4, 5, 600 behind and it gets tough. But in terms of risky plays, so I personally wouldn't be going for the guy. If you are trading in someone, if you are going, I'm not happy with how this guy's playing, I'm just going to go and make this trade, that's completely fine. You do you. But I don't think you can take the big risk play. Going for someone like Payne Haas is not a risky scoring play. He might be he could be, probably not, a little bit overvalued or right at peak price. But the output that he's going to get, he's a walk-up 65 right now. Very, very easily. If he gets anywhere near that sort of mid to high 50 minutes, he's a walk-up 65, which means there's no risk on his scoring. When he's priced near the 70, if he's going close to that 70 mark, there's no risk attached to that. Yes, injury and stuff, but there's injury risk for everyone, right? So you go for guys like that. Probably not the week to have a flyer on a wing fullback. Jaden Campbell's an exception, but yeah, just the way I would think about it is to trade in consistent, high quality players, just to chip away at your friends and your foes and their lead. And I think it's going to work over the longer term basis. You have patience without making big pod plays or big risk in terms of scoring. Get your trades right and you will chip away at these guys and improve drastically. Shout out to Hayden, who came 9th last year, sitting pretty low on the leaderboard all the way, and just continued to improve and improve and improve and improve, and finished 9th last year, which is an incredible season, and it's something that you can do as well. All right, just a couple of little thoughts on a few of the players. Jaden Campbell, a great purchase. He owns this team. Can you sell all the guns to him? That's for you to decide, that are out this week. Thomas Kant, a big watch. Similar to that with Fletcher Sharp. He's going to be over 600k. Bradman Best, I think you leave him now. And I just wanted to go down to Mr. Brimson there as well. But Tino at 39, a solid guy to own. I wouldn't be chasing him. If you did last week, then that's fine. Ponga, a really solid hold as well at his price point, 768. But not exciting. Greg Marzou, an easier hold than Ponga at that price point. Yeah. And then Brimson, a very, very big worry in our sides, unfortunately. For the Doggies and the Eels, Hopgood, a definite buy target. Preston, great work. For him to not have any ball, 63 metres, great work, 59 points. I think they end up giving him a turnover tackle that they took away at the start. There you go. Hayward and Sexton, the time to buy was this week. Katonga, wait and see. What else we got? Yongi, 31 for him. Hold. The team looked a little bit better. Riley Smith, 35 minutes. Hold. Don't buy anymore. If you did buy this week, a little bit frustrating, but you at least still got 24, and it wasn't like a 10. Ruben Garrick, hold off, I think. The draw does become a little bit more difficult over the next week's not with Eels, and you could look at that and be one game focused, but he's going to be up pretty high now in the sort of 620, 630, 640 range, and you then need him to average high 40s to hold price and over 50 for the rest of the year to gain on his price. So I think Garrick's a guy that can go massive scores, and this is the second time now I've missed him he got the extra 7 points too. The second time I've missed him in a good while now, and that's super frustrating. So yeah, there's that one there. You can decide on that one, up to you. I'm not going to tell you what to do on that one. Olakawatu, hold. Horsburgh, still a buy. Hopefully, he doesn't get pinged for less minutes from coach. Nicholson in that role. I'm not sure if that's going to keep up, but fine. I don't know if he's a clear buy anymore. I think this is the week to get him. Starling, hold off on buying now, but a clear hold and hopefully more minutes to come in games that are closer. And Tamale, I think it's a hold as well. with him. It's not every day you get absolutely pumped by your opposition side. So thanks so much, guys, for this one. That was the round 3 rapid review from an NRL standpoint with a little bit of fantasy and supercoach sprinkled in. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll catch you in my round results video a little bit later.